All right, welcome everybody. We're glad to see you today. It's nice to see everybody's faces, and we're super excited about this month's speaker, whom Linnell will introduce in just a moment. A couple of quick housekeeping reminders. We ask everybody to stay muted during the presentation. You can raise your hand or use the chat feature to ask a question or make a comment. Linnell and I will facilitate passing the questions to Dr. Greene at the end of her presentation today. So hold on to your questions till she's had a chance to go through her presentation. Put your questions in the chat and we will make sure that she gets them. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our league president, Linnell Filmon, to introduce our speaker. And you're muted, Linnell. Let me see if I can fix that for you.
All right, what is Zoom if we don't have a technical glitch every now and then? Thank you so much. So Dr. Greene became superintendent of Duval Public Schools, the 20th largest school district in the nation in 2018. She serves 130,000 students in 200 schools and manages a $1.7 billion budget. During her tenure as superintendent, Dr. Greene led the passage of the asset sales tax referendum during the 2020 election to help fund district capital needs as maintenance and repairs on some of the oldest school buildings in the state of Florida. Dr. Greene was named 2021 Florida Superintendent of the Year by the Florida Association of District School Superintendents, making her the second African-American woman to receive this honor. Prior to her work in Duval County, she was the superintendent of the Manatee County School District, where she made significant strides forward academically, financially, and in terms of public perception. During her 33-year career as an educator, she has spent time as an educator, assistant principal, and worked in curriculum development, staff development, and senior executive leadership. Dr. Greene's father served in the United States Air Force, and she grew up living in locations all over the United States and abroad. She is married to James Greene, an independent financial advisor and retired Navy. They have two sons, Alden and Joshua. And after a very long board meeting last night, a very late night and early morning, we are so glad that you're still able to join us today. And with that, Dr. Greene, the Zoom floor is yours.
Thank you, and good afternoon. And it is a pleasure to be here with you. Yes, it was a long night and early morning, but I knew that this group is always a pleasure, and I always am excited when I'm given an opportunity to speak to you. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly here and go through my presentation. If I am getting close to time, if someone could let me know so that I can stop talking and give individuals an opportunity to ask questions, that will be very helpful.
Will do.
In the introduction, it was shared that we passed a 1/2-cent sales tax. And so even though most of the conversation is what we are experiencing at this time with a teacher shortage and our student experience enhancement initiative, I want to share that we are doing very well with our 1/2-cent sales tax. We have a forward-facing, public-facing dashboard. So at the top, you can see the link. If you type that into your web browser, you can see all of our projects. You can see all the funding we received. You can see how we're budgeted. You can see it by school board member. You can see it by particular schools. All the information you want to know about our master facilities plan or the 1/2-cent sales tax referendum is on that website. So I highly encourage everyone to copy down that link and take time when you have a free moment to peruse that website. As I stated, it gives a wealth of information. One of the things we promised the community is that we were going to be very transparent, and this dashboard does exactly that. As you can see, to date, through June 20, projected to date, June 2022, we're projected to receive $124 million. We receive our revenue in the lag. And what that means is they're usually 2 months behind telling us what our revenue is. So right now, you'll see through January 2022, we've received 118 million. Based on a trend, this website will kind of give a projection of what we should receive by the end of our fiscal year. You can also see the district share and charter schools share. So the district share is to the January 2022 has been a little over 102 million. Charter school share a little over 15 million. You can see program metrics. You can see what projects are in procurement, projects in design, projects in construction, and what projects have been completed. So as you can see, we have a lot of projects in design, 2 more coming. Procurement means it's going through a process of being bidded out, whether that is an RFQ or an RFP. That just says these projects are in that phase. We are excited about our first new school rebuild of Rutledge H. Pearson Elementary School. That is a school that is a consolidation of 3 schools: Rutledge H. Pearson, Martin Luther King Jr., and Henry F. Kite Elementary Schools will come together. That is approximately a 900 student station school. Believe it or not, tomorrow night we have our community meeting, sharing what that new school will look like, the process, how will the consolidation work. And then on May 20th, we will have the groundbreaking or ground. It will be more than a groundbreaking. It's going to be a celebration, celebrating the 3 elementary schools as they will come together and become one school. So again, any information you want to know, please look at this website in the dashboard. The dashboard is what we call live, meaning it changes every day. It's updated at night. So if a project completes today, by tomorrow, it's in the system and you can see it. Or if we expend dollars that yesterday they were still in budget, but today we spent it, it'll update at night and you'll see it the very next day. So this is not a static dashboard. It is very dynamic and it updates nightly. So I kind of want to now go into what we are focused on as a school district at this point. I'm probably giving you old information that you may have heard through, whether it's through social media or newscasts, because the city council last week approved our referendum to go forward to the supervisor of elections to be placed on the August ballot. But today, I'm talking about the background, what led to that action of the board to write a resolution, then go before the city council, and now it will go before the voters. And so we have 2 issues that we are, I don't want to say struggling with, but these are 2 challenges that we are trying to overcome. And it's the battle over human capital. You're going to see data that shows that we have over 400 teacher vacancies and over 1,000 staff vacancies, because we are competing not only with neighboring school districts, but now we're competing with private industry. In addition to offering exceptional student experiences, there are 2 categories that we do not receive categorical funding for. It's the arts and athletics. The district has to use what we call discretionary dollars to support these areas. Well, we are supporting these areas with ensuring that we are not laying off educators who teach, whether it's art, music. We have made sure that all of our athletic programs are strong and we continue to support them. However, we are continuing to be in this repair phase, not an enhancement phase. Musical instruments, it does not fall under the half-cent penny sales tax. So people ask, well, why can't you use that? The half-penny sales tax is strictly for capital purchases. Purchases is not the right word. Capital funded projects that are in our master facilities plan. A master's facilities plan was focused on our aging schools because Duval County has the oldest schools in the state of Florida. And so that is the focus of those dollars, and that's what was put in the resolution. Therefore, we are required to stay in those guidelines, if you will. So as I stated, there's no categorical funding that exists for items like instruments, uniforms, playgrounds, improving our football fields, baseball fields, softball fields, all the things we offer for our students. We want to continue to be one of the highest engaging school districts in the state of Florida, ensuring that we offer these experiences for all of our students, not just our students that attend performing arts magnets or magnets that focus on academics and athletics. I think this group knows better than anyone. After effective parenting, the #1 determinant of student success is having an outstanding teacher. Many of you have relatives that are teachers. Many of you may have been teachers yourself, but you know the impact that an outstanding teacher has on student achievement. And it's been documented. This quote came from the Florida Council of 100, the Horizon 2040 project, focusing on how we can improve education for all students in Florida. As stated, we have over 400 teaching vacancies. This data is as of February 2022. Our instructional vacancies has increased over 155% over the past 6 years. So the teacher shortage did not start with the pandemic. It started pre-pandemic. The pandemic just exacerbated that problem, as you can see, with an increase of 98% since the start of the pandemic. These are instructional positions district-wide. Here's the evidence that tells us that it's not just teachers are leaving because of I can have a better job in another school district. They are leaving for a variety of reasons, but one of the main reasons is tied to the pandemic. Stress has been a serious problem. In addition, corporate entities have found out that teachers make great employees. The pandemic really pushed teachers to utilize their technology skills, and now that they've become technology proficient, everybody else wants these individuals. We are seeing that many of our teachers are leaving for positions, one, that give them flexibility. They can work from home. Florida is a state that was one of the first to move back to brick and mortar and requiring us to offer the brick and mortar option for our students. And even though we have students who are now taking our virtual school, we have approximately today close to 3,500 students who are learning virtually. And next year, that number is probably going to drop to about 2,000. So that reduces the number of positions we need to allow teachers to work from home. And last but not least, what we are seeing is also the colleges of education are not putting out teachers. Today, University of North Florida has approximately 200 students in their College of Education. That means from freshmen to seniors, only 200. That would not even cover half of our teaching vacancies. EWU, Edward Waters University has closed their College of Education. Jacksonville University, they're continuing to have a dwindling number of students in the College of Education. So not only are our veteran teachers leaving, we do not have the same number of teachers that used to go through the College of Education be available for school districts to hire. You can see that national labor statistics, we're talking over 500,000 fewer educators in America's public schools compared to before the pandemic. And so in 2021-22, 0.57 hires. That means for every 2 people leaving, you get maybe half of a position back in your school district. What we are seeing in Duval, for every 5 hires, we're seeing 10 veteran teachers either retire or leave the school district. So let's look at how we rank amongst the Big 7. We are one of the 7 largest school districts in the state of Florida. In the intro, you heard that we are the 20th largest school district in the nation. When we compare ourselves to the Big 7, and we compare ourselves to the Big 7 because we have very similar issues. These are the largest urban school districts in the state of Florida. As you can see, we are ranked number 7 out of 7. We are ranked 40th out of the 69 school districts in average teacher salary. When you look at Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, Broward, Pinellas, they all have a millage supported supplement. So they are able to offer more in teacher compensation than school districts such as Duval. Hillsborough is also moving forward with a referendum for teacher compensation. Orange County has a 1 mil referendum. However, they are not utilizing those dollars for teacher compensation. They are utilizing it for safety and security and other mental health, other issues in their school district. So currently out of the Big 7, 5 already have a millage in place, and Duval and Hillsborough are both moving forward to their community to put forward a referendum. This is, again, other data related to the impact of teacher effectiveness. I'm not going to go through this particular slide because I think the next slide really talks about DCPS. When we look at experience and the importance of experience, that the experience of the teacher matters. When you look at the data of our school grades, and the last really official school grades that we had was 2018-19. And since then, the last year we were allowed to have schools submit for a school grade. So when you look at this data, it's a little misleading because currently we have no F schools, but in 2018-19, we did. But either way, when you look at the experience of the teachers that are teaching in A-rated schools, they have an average of 15.1 years of experience. Look at the schools that are rated D. Average years of experience, 10.4. So almost 5 years difference of teaching experience in schools that have higher school grades. So again, experience does matter. When you look at the retention of keeping our veteran teachers, look at the percent of highly effective teachers. Our teachers' compensation is based partially on their rating. Teachers who are rated highly effective get the most compensation versus teachers who are unsatisfactory, needs improvement, and even our effective teachers get higher funding, but the highest rating a teacher can receive is highly effective. When you look at years of experience, look at our new least veteran teachers, 1 to 5 years. Only 10.74% of them reach a highly effective rating. And it's not because they're not great teachers. It's because they haven't had the experience. They haven't worked with different student populations. They haven't had enough experience that they know when to make that tweak. They know when to give that extra little support to that student. And look at the experience. You continue to see the highly effective rating increase. 36 to 40 years, almost half of the teachers are making a highly effective rating. So experience matters. but that's what's walking out of the door for our schools, not just in Duval. This is a statewide, a national problem. Again, when you look at our experience, Duval is ranked at 58th, or I'm sorry, my picture is over. Yeah, 58th out of the 69 districts in teacher experience. Our neighboring districts, St. John's, Clay, Nassau, their teachers all have average teaching experience more than Duval. Again, experience matters. Experience plays a huge role and impact on student achievement. Not only does experience matters, but the support of paraprofessionals. Those of you who have been a part of the public education know the value of the paraprofessional. That is that second person in that classroom, especially in our ESC classrooms, exceptional student classrooms. These are classrooms for students with disabilities. That individual plays a major role. Their support is truly tremendous to that classroom teacher. This board, our school board, had the foresight to move to the $15 per hour prior to the state passing legislation that we had to have all employers and all employees reach that $15 an hour by the year 2026. But even in getting to $15 an hour, look at all the jobs that are offered locally that are higher than $15 an hour. And paraprofessionals are either required to have a 60 credit hours of college or a 2-year degree of college, or be able to pass an assessment that allows them to be a paraprofessional. And that assessment is very close to college entry type assessment. So again, these positions do not even have that requirement, yet they are making more than paraprofessionals. Today, we have over 350 vacancies as it relates to paraprofessionals. And last but not least, I talked about our student experiences and increasing this for our students. Through the arts, we want to address obsolete equipment, upgrade repairs existing equipment, improving our musical instruments and uniform needs, athletics, repairing old scoreboards. Every scoreboard in our district is at least 20 years old. And most school boards have a lifetime of 10 years. So we've been doing an amazing job keeping our school boards up and running. Our playgrounds, we have over 60 playgrounds that have not been touched since the 1980s. That means that we are constantly repairing them, constantly trying to put them in a situation that it is safe for students. Most of our playgrounds that are newer, we no longer use wood. However, we have a number of playgrounds that still have wood type apparatus that really, it's not that they're not safe, but it's hard to make sure that students aren't getting splinters, or making sure students have a better opportunity to utilize equipment that the sun has not somewhat deteriorated it. So these are the things that we were focused on, ensuring that our students, again, have exceptional student experiences, because these are activities that many of our students feel like that's what keeps them in school. That's what helps them remain focused on their classwork and improve their attendance and being in school. And we just want to, as a school district, again, continue to be ranked as one of the highest performing school districts and most engaging school districts. So with all of that said, I made a recommendation to the school board to introduce a resolution for a ballot measure for a 1 mil increase, which would address additional funding for compensation for teachers and staff, arts and athletics, and we are required to give charter schools their proportionate fair share based on their student enrollment. There are at least 20 counties in the state that already have a 1 mil referendum approved by the voters. This year, there are at least 5 additional school districts that are also going out to seek for a 1 mil referendum. I think I talked about Hillsborough. It's my understanding that Pasco, Brevard County, and there are 2 other counties that are considering moving a referendum forward to their communities for a 1 mil. What is that distribution? What does it look like? Based on our data, it is estimated that approximately 81 million will be generated per year. Just for your FYI, this referendum is only for 4 years. It has to be renewed every 4 years, unlike the half-cent sales tax, which is a 15-year referendum. So the breakdown for the dollars, as you can see, teachers and staff make up 75% of those dollars. The charter share, currently their student enrollment is approximately 12.5%. That is one category that will go up and down based on student enrollment. And for arts and athletics right now, it is at 12.5%. Our pathway forward, as you can see, last week, the final city council consideration of the resolution was passed. That information must be to the supervisor elections by June 24th. And again, it will be on the August 23rd primary election ballot. Why does this 1 mil still not put us where we used to be over, I was going to say 20 years ago, but since 2010, 2011? The required local effort over the past 15 years has continued to decline. When you see it in 2007-8, that was the beginning of the recession, the required local effort was 4.879. In 2010 and 11, it rose to 5.346. Since then, it has declined, or what we call rolled back to currently today, it is at 3.560. In the next month, we will find out whether the Department of Education will roll it back again. But even with the 3.560, and if the referendum passes for 1 mil, we still will be lower than where we were in 2010-11, because it will only be at 4.560. So again, the decline in millage over the last 15 years, as you can see, costing the district over $657 million over those years, if that millage rate had stayed at 5.346. What is the cost to a homeowner? 1 mil equates to $1 per 1,000 assessed value less homestead exemption. Owners, so an example of an owner of a $225,000 home would pay $17 a month if this referendum is successful in August. So that kind of closes out my presentation, and hopefully I'm still within my time to be able to address any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Greene. You are perfect in your timing. I have the first question for you, and that question is about the dashboard that you showed us earlier. Is that dashboard being used to show or to track unencumbered funds that are assigned to charter schools so that should they be required to return them, that data is readily available?
Charter schools are not a part of the district dashboard. We are now developing a charter school dashboard that will be public facing. And so the public will be able to see what charter schools are receiving and what they are expending their funds on and what their projects are. That should be coming out hopefully in the next month so that the community can see both. This dashboard was specifically designed for traditional schools under the auspices of DCPS.
Thank you. And then I think Linnell has a couple of questions from our education committee.
I do. Dr. Greene, thank you for that. That was great. I had looked at the dashboard before, and now I actually understand what all I'm looking at. So thank you for that. On behalf of our education committee, just a couple quick questions. When a piece of proposed legislation is introduced and that legislation requires efforts from school districts upon its passage to implement, are there costs? Are the costs are they unfunded mandates calculated ahead of time and communicated to the legislators, or does the school board inherit the cost?
Yes and no. Some legislation comes with funding tied to it. And here's an example. Last year, legislation was passed that school districts had a requirement to have a 911 accessible button for all employees. It came with, oh, here are the vendors that you can use, and here is the funding that comes along to support that requirement. Now, does it mean that the funding covers all of the costs? No, it does not. That funding covered approximately about 80% of the costs. So that is what we call a categorical. It tells us this law passed, this is what we're required to do, and you can only use that funding for that particular thing. Then there are other laws that pass that could be, innocuous on its face, but after we evaluate, analyze that law, we figure out, oh, there's a cost. So an example would be this year, there was a law passed that we had a requirement to notify families if students are taking a mental health screener. The law last year required us to offer mental health screenings. And so we offer it in 3rd, 6th, and 9th grade. Well, we've always notified families that their child will be participating in a mental health screener. And if you don't want them to participate, fill out the information at the bottom and that will exempt your child. Well, now it says, oh, and you also have to share a copy of what that mental health screener looks like. So to share, when you have 10,000 3rd graders, that there's a cost to printing that and mailing that and giving that to families. That's where you find, okay, that's kind of an unfunded mandate. We have to figure out how are we going to pay for that? We have to put it in our budget.
Okay, wow. Okay, thank you for that. The next question says, based on comments that they've heard, many in the community seem to think that the school district receives $2 billion a year, and the perception is that the additional millage isn't necessary. They'd like to know what the annual budget to the Duval public school system is, and does that money, does that include the money that goes directly or indirectly to charter schools? And in addition, they would like to know how much of the budget you have direct control over.
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna try to explain that as easily as I can. So yes, it is true, the district has a $2 billion budget, but that includes charter schools, that includes empowerment scholarships, that includes McKay scholarships, anything that is that comes through the district and may go somewhere else is included in that budget. So charter school funding in that $2 billion budget is included. We do not have control of their funding. It simply comes to us and we pay it out to them. The empowerment scholarship, that is, it's not new, but it's much larger than it has been in the past. So when we do, the way we're funded, it's based on full-time equivalency. So if a student is in school full-time, during a certain week, they are counted. And then we do this a number of times throughout the year. So currently, our full-time equivalency says we have 142,000 full-time equivalent students in our district. They're including the students who are receiving empowerment scholarships. So they're going to a private school. They're not technically attending a DCPS school. And for the most part, most of the students never attended a DCPS school, but they qualify because they are attending a private school. Therefore, we have to account for them, show a schedule, and so the funding comes to us, but we just send it to the private school. So there's a percentage of that $2 billion that we are not directly in control over. And I don't want to just tell a lie that I could tell you exactly what that dollar figure is, because I don't. I just know that our student enrollment is about 130,000, yet our funding comes for 142,000, and it's tied to scholarships, portion of it, and charter schools, which are included in the 130,000. That's why it's very complicated to try to explain this. And so the other part of the 2 billion is categoricals. Most of our money comes in categories, and they tell us this is what you must spend it on. So a category, transportation, we are funded about 40% of the total cost of transportation. So we receive approximately somewhere between 20 and $25 million for transportation, but transportation costs 70 million. So the district's discretionary dollars, we have to utilize to fully fund transportation. So we get 25 million for it, but it actually costs $70 million. So the discretionary dollars is what picks up that gap. We have reading allocation dollars, so we can only spend it on reading. We have what we call SAI, Supplemental Academic Instruction. It has a list of criteria. You can only spend those dollars on that. Class size reduction dollars. So we can only spend it on teachers to ensure that we are doing our best to get in line with class size reduction. However, that is not fully funded. We have to use additional discretionary dollars to ensure that we are doing our best to meet class size. Guaranteed ESE dollars. That's for ESE students. That fund probably covers about 60% of our ESE costs for students who may have other needs. They may have speech, OT, PT, all of these different types of services that our students their IEP says they are required to receive. That guaranteed funding does not cover all of those services. It does not cover all of the services for psychologists and behavioral analysts, behavioral therapists, all of the things that we are required by law to provide services for students who have disabilities. So that is a very long, complicated answer. I did my best to put it in a concise, understandable answer.
That was lovely. And how are mental health care providers or counselors, will they also be covered under the new funds, or where do they fall as far as teaching staff and paraprofessionals, or in either category?
Our school psychologists and mental health therapists, if they work for us, would be with instructional personnel. We do a lot of contracting. It is very challenging now to find speech therapists, to find occupational therapists, physical therapists, all the therapists, mental health therapists, that we have to do a lot of contracting out those services. So when we contract out those services, they do not work for the school district, and therefore would not be a part of this funding if we receive it.
Dr. Greene, can you confirm, I think you said that the millage increase would be for 4 years. We had a question about that. Is that correct?
That is correct. It is for 4 years, and if it is to continue the district would have to take it back to the voters every 4 years.
I've got one more question, I think. You talked earlier about legislation and mandates funded and unfunded. Does the district track the cost of unfunded mandates? Do you do analysis of that and what it costs you as various new rules are rolled out by the legislature?
The district attempts to track that cost. Sometimes it's so minute. For example, we would not be tracking cost on additional printing. I mean, I shared that as an example, but it is a cost that will have to be picked up by the district. So we do attempt to track that information. It's just when you have that many zeros, it becomes challenging to say, is that really an unfunded mandate, or would we have done something similar to that even if it wasn't required in law? So it's the big ticket items. So transportation, it's a partially funded categorical, but we know that we have a requirement by law to transport students that live outside 2 miles walking distance to school. So technically it's an unfunded mandate because they don't fully fund it. We have to, and so those big ticket items, that's what we track because they have a lot of zeros.
Makes sense. Thank you. I do not see any other questions in the chat. Do you have a question for us?
Well, no, I see a question in the chat, and I don't think it says, I recall that recently the statewide starting salary for teachers was raised, which resulted in salary compression for more experienced teachers. Is it a goal of the millage funds to address this issue? That is a two-part answer. Yes, we did receive statewide, that's a categorical, with the requirement to improve the teacher beginning salary to $47,500. Now, I want to share some context. 3 years ago, our beginning teacher salary was $39,500. Now it is at $47,500. So they are now making the salary of a 17-year veteran teacher. Because of that, my 17-year veteran teacher makes less than $1,000 than the teacher who's 17 days into the classroom. And that is the problem we are seeing with, yes, we thank the governor and the legislators for trying to beef up the beginning teacher salary, because 3 years ago we were ranked, I think 48th in the nation, and now they're ranked 16th in beginning teacher pay. However, when you look at teacher average salary, we're now ranked 49th. No, we're ranked 48th. I'm sorry, we're better than 2 other states. And it's because of the compression. Yeah, you move the beginning, but nothing has been done to support the teachers who are experienced. And so this has the opportunity to address that. However, a new legislation was just passed that says districts can't use additional funding to support teacher experience without addressing the teacher performance pay, which then puts us right back to where we started. So it's gonna take a lot of conversation and working with our unions to figure out how can we support our veteran teachers, because this, as you saw in my PowerPoint, it matters. They are the ones who have the experience. They are the ones who are making the impact with children. And the more that we're losing them, yes, if we're replacing them with newer teachers, but as you saw, the newer teachers, they don't have that level of experience yet to have the impact that we need. I have the chat up, so there, do you mind me addressing a couple?
No, please do. I think some of those questions must be going directly to you instead of co-host, because I'm not seeing them. So please address whatever you'd like. We've got about 5 more minutes for questions.
Okay, is HB 1557 and HB 7 causing teacher stress that might be causing them to leave? Because that legislation actually doesn't even go into effect till July 1, we're not going to know the effects at this time. I would be in a much better position to answer that by the end of the year. We know that a lot of legislation that was passed is causing our teachers stress, and we are working as a district to see how we can minimize that stress for our teachers. How can we provide more supports for them to maneuver through these legislations to ensure, one, that our teachers are knowledgeable and that they are safe in doing their job, and also that we're not putting them at risk for lawsuits and the district itself at risk for lawsuits. So besides teacher raises, what are you doing to reduce teacher stress? Again, the district has put in a number of resources. Our teachers, we made sure that they had access to mental health support. We doubled the number of days that they can access to a mental health therapist or a mental health expert without any cost to them. We've been providing opportunities for teachers to do their own type of professional development, things that they want to focus on. We've been ensuring that teachers have access to ways to take leave, that the district is picking up that cost through the ESSER grant. So teachers who contract COVID-19, we pay for their days that they have to be out from school. We are paying teachers that have to help support their colleagues. We are doing a number of things to make sure that our teachers know that we are here supporting them in the best way that we possibly can. And this isn't one thing that we're doing this week, because this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. The recognition that we are giving teachers, the gifts that we are giving teachers aren't, expensive, but what we hear from them is, thank you for at least recognizing me and know how many years of experience I've been in this district, and I just value that opportunity. We've done some fun things over this school year. So we had our first school carnivals, where we were allowing teachers to earn sort of comp time, ways that they can be able to leave early, be able to make sure their classes are still covered. We are sort of kind of restricted to a lot of things that private companies can do, but because we're technically a governmental agency, we're not allowed to do. So anything that was under an appropriate way that we can support our teachers and staff, it's not just teachers, our paraprofessionals, food service, custodians, everyone has been under a tremendous amount of pressure over the last 2 years. And we really tried to be as flexible as we possibly can and ensure that our number one primary mission of teaching and learning for students is still our primary mission, and we remain focused on that. We've tried to implement in our schools.
Thank you.
Right, Dr. Greene. So thank you so much. This has been extremely informative, and I had my camera off, but I promise you I was a good pupil. I was taking notes, and we are going to make sure that we share this with our fellow league members who couldn't be with us today. And also it'll be on social media for the community, because this is just really valuable for everyone to have a rich understanding of what's going on and not get caught up sometimes in the political ping pong ball that gets whacked back and forth. And like you said, we really want to focus on making sure that our children are in safe environments that are really conducive to their learning. So we appreciate that. I do want to say that it was great to have the redistricting meetings held out in the public schools. I think for a lot of us, it was the first time that we were coming into contact with some of the schools. And there was a stark contrast in some of the environments we were in. So I'm not sure who maneuvered that, but that was a great opportunity to get out and see where our children are going to school. So I just want to say thank you. And I don't know who on the board helped make the right decision to bring you to Duval County Public Schools, but ma'am, we are honored to have you here. And we are so appreciative of the leadership that you provide in our community, but also the calm that you have provided in a very politically divisive and emotional environment these last 2 years. So thank you, Dr. Greene, very much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. We're going to do a couple of league announcements. So Dr. Greene is going to go take a break, much deserved from last night. But just quickly, if you are interested in participating in candidate forums, that means actually helping to plan them by league policy. There is a committee for that on Club Express. All you need to do is go in there and enter yourself as a member. And then we'll start planning on how to navigate with that committee in the next few weeks. Next slide. Also, I'm going to be putting together a fall membership meeting committee. For anyone who got to join us before the pandemic seized upon us, seems like 100 years ago, but just two years ago in February, we'll be doing something similar to that. It'll be similar like a coming out for our first meeting in September is what we hope to do. So if you're interested in that, there's also a committee for the fall membership meeting. Just go into Club Express and you can sign up for that as well. Next. We have a couple of tours coming up with the supervisor of elections for Duval County, looking at something a little different for St. John's here soon. But Diane will be leading our team on a tour on the 17th. They'll start at 9 a.m. I sent an email out with a sign-up link for those in Duval County for that. Also one on the 18th that I'll be leading at 9 a.m. We will be staying away from just a couple of tripwires for a lawsuit that is still out there for SB 90 that we're not part of, but it is Lee County and I think Palm Coast are suing the supervisor of elections over some particular language still in SB 90. But I do have a couple of seats still left in each one of those. If you would like to join us, please make sure that you respond via link. Go ahead, Deb. She's got a trigger finger. Our annual meeting is coming up on the 1st of June at 11:30. It will be via Zoom. Hopefully this will be one of our last major events via Zoom. And then we'll come back in to the September lunch and learn and meeting perhaps in person. But I know it's boring to many people, the bylaws, the budget, and electing new people to serve on the board. But y'all, without the bylaws, we have no guidance. Without the budget, we have no program. And without officers on the board to lead us, we have no leadership, no vision, and we make nothing happen. So you'll probably get a courtesy phone call from a board member in the last week before the annual meeting, just reminding you and inviting you to come out. But you know, this is one of those necessary things that we have to do, and we hope that you'll join us for that. Next slide. We will be working on the local program for next year. The first meeting will take place on the 10th of June, which I think is a Friday at 10:30 in the morning. The next one will be in July at noon. I think that's a Saturday, and it will be out at the Southeast Regional Library. I will be sending a link out for that for people to sign up, so I know that I have enough space to operate in when we get ready to do it. And again, the local program is kind of a compass that we use throughout the coming year to really guide the league in the work that we'll be doing and the action items that we will commit to. Next slide. The National Convention, the 55th National Convention, is going to be taking place June 22nd through the 26th. It will be taking place in a hybrid fashion. So a number of folks, including our president, Cecile Schoon, and our executive director, Leah Nash, they'll actually be out in Denver. I'll be participating virtually, as will two of our other delegates. Linda Mann, our education director, and Karen Parrish, our membership director. So we will be serving as delegates. There is a link out there that you should have gotten from League of Florida. If you want to sign up to be an observer, there are some fees attached to some of these items. So please make sure you're aware of that before you commit. Next slide. And having said that, our intern, I do believe, has officially left us, but Deb still keeps us really in tune on social media. So our Facebook page is there, our Instagram, we are also on LinkedIn. And then we have our website, which links you through Club Express. Lots of volunteer opportunities out there, events that are coming up. past events. Video link from today's event will also be there. But please find us on social media. Email us if you have ideas about things going on. And again, the league really doesn't exist without our members and our members who actually get engaged and help us accomplish those things that we set out to do in our local program.